Welcome back to Anomalum Chronicles, where the mysteries of the universe unravel. Are you ready to dive into stories you have never heard before? At the end, if you enjoyed the video, then I urge you to subscribe so you won't miss anything. If you have any suggestions or critiques, please leave a comment below, but for now, let's get started with today's story.
So, about 8 years ago I had this dream. As of today, it is the only dream I can remember having more than once, and I've had it 4 times so far. I honestly don't know if it's just a coincidence, or if the dream correlates with the story. I'm honestly just looking for a bit of advice here. Perhaps you're a practicing witch, or are well-versed in dream interpretation or protection spells. I'm at the end of my rope here. So let's pretend my dream is a cinematic. I'll take you down shot for shot. The dream is set in overcast grays. As soon as it starts, I feel the tension. Have you ever had a dream where you're up really high and you get the sense of falling and falling and falling? It's similar to that, except for it's all dread. The camera pans down a decrepit one-lane western town and stops on a saloon with one creaky wooden batwing door. I can see the wisps of the breeze blowing the door, ever so softly, back and forth. We zoom in quick, past the batwing door, into the cellar where I see sacks of grain, spoiled food storage, and glass jars full of unidentified liquids and objects. At this point, I drop into my own eyes and I'm chained to the cellar floor. There are 2 chains attached to the meat of my neck on either side, but there's no blood or pain. There's a set, attaching my hands and my feet to the floor, and then 2 sets crossed over my back to keep me in a prayer position with my head up. Again, I feel no pain, but I can feel the cold of the chain, the discomfort of the position I'm in, and the dread of my current situation. I'm always woken up at the exact same part of the dream. There's a woman, long, stringy white hair, eyes sunk deep into her head. Her lips are horribly chapped, to the point they have cracked open and they look like hanging meat. She grabs me by my face and screams at me, "She will not go into the bar!" And I wake up. The sound of her voice stays with me. To this day I can still hear it, and I hadn't had that particular dream in almost 2 years. I feel this vibration, I guess is the best way to describe it, whenever she screams. Picture putting your face in front of a giant subwoofer, but no sound comes out. No boom, 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 just that vibration from the decibels. That's what the inside of my head feels like during and shortly after that dream. So I told you that story to tell you this one. Shortly after I had that dream, maybe 6 months later, I had my first experience with sleep paralysis. I was lying next to my girlfriend at the time and my eyes were still open, but my body had turned itself off. I laid there panicking, truly believing I was paralyzed. The inside of my body was electric. The sheer force of will behind my eyes, just to move, was almost palpable. There was a maelstrom brewing so fierce that if I had ended up moving right then, I'm scared I would have given myself whiplash when I sprung out of bed. Luckily, at this moment, she stirred next to me, rolled over, and I guess her motion stirred my body out of the sleep. I immediately woke her up to tell her what had happened. She waved me off, and that was it. It baffles me to the point people are willing to believe you're full of shit because they've never experienced it before. But anyway, that was my first experience I ever had with sleep paralysis. I moved out of that place about a year later and into a new place with roommates close to my job. I was there for about 2 years with no sign of the dream or any sleep paralysis. I had 4 roommates at the time, and the guy who had the house called a meeting. He was selling the place in a few months, and we all got to find new places to stay. I didn't know what to do until another buddy came by the house one night. I told him the situation. He said he lived 20 minutes away. Come stay with him. $400 rent. I'm in. That night I had the dream, again. Woke up at the same scream, the same feeling in my head. I chalked it up to stress. I moved into the house I'm in now about 3 years ago. The first time I was left by myself in the house, I woke up because I had the feeling somebody was watching me. I got up to use the bathroom and I heard 3 coughs come from my roommate's room. He's the door directly across from me. If I lean a bit, I can touch his door from the threshold of my room. I put on my house shoes, opened my door, couldn't have been more than 10 seconds later, and walked out into the hallway. His door was open. Nobody was in there. I looked out the back door, and the dog is in the backyard running around. I opened the front door to look into the driveway. The only car there was mine. Somebody cuff it in that room. I'm not crazy. I know it. The next time anything had gone down was about 6 months after that. I was laying in my room with my back to the door. I had closed it before I laid down for a nap. I feel something yank on the covers fairly hard, and I figured Kilo had gotten into my room somehow and was trying to wake me up for pets, 'cause my roommate wasn't home. I roll over and the door is still shut. Nobody is there. I told my roommate about it, and he says, "This is a brand new house, and he's the first owner, so he doesn't know what it could be. I'm probably just tired." Then the sleep paralysis started. I went from one in my entire life to once a week, and this time I couldn't trust my brain in the slightest. I started seeing things, 2 separate things for that matter. One was small and gangly. I saw it the first time when I had fallen asleep with the covers bunched underneath my chin, so it made a bit of a mound. I felt something plop onto my bed, and just shortly after I saw the top of its head and eyes pop up from behind the mound of blanket. It was full panic, as its face inched closer to mine, and I was finally able to break free from it and move. Once I could move, it was gone. We had a second roommate there for about 2 months while his house was being renovated. Super tall guy, 6'5", let's call him Bob. After he left, I had an episode where my door was still open. I saw a super tall person tiptoe into my room. This is where things were weird. I wasn't scared. I remember it having this look of wearing a fur coat, a big one similar to that one Macklemore wore in that thrift shop video. The thing came and stood over my bed, opened its mouth wide, put its hands up in the air and started waving then back and forth. But it was extremely fast, made it look like a blur. I remember thinking, Bob is gonna hit the fan if he keeps waving his arms like that. Then the blur got faster, and it gave off a vibrate inside my head that woke me up fully, the same vibrate that happens in my dream. Then I had the dream again a week later. Then the biting started. I woke up out of my sleep one night because it felt like something bit the shit out of me. I jumped up out of bed, slapped at the area, and flicked the overhead light on. Nothing. Looked at my stomach. No mark. No nothing. This happened on 3 separate occasions, all with the same outcome. There are no bugs, no nothing. We regularly get sprayed for things like that when we get our lawn maintenance done, so that was out of the question. Then I started waking up with unexplained cuts and bruises. I never in my life have been the type to bruise easily, and I'd remember hitting something that hard or cutting myself at work, so I feel like things have just escalated. Which leads me to now. I had the dream again about 2 weeks ago. Today I was fucking around on Snapchat and it recognized 2 faces while I was alone. The text at the bottom of the filter said, "Please don't try this with a friend." If you read this expecting to have a conclusion all wrapped up nice in a bow, I apologize. I could just use some help. 'Cause I feel like whatever this thing is, it's getting closer and steadily more violent.
As this story ended, we find ourselves at the crossroads of darkness and mystery. Our journey has only just begun. If you dare to delve deeper into the realms of the unknown, if you thirst for more bone-chilling tales and heart-pounding thrills, then join our community of fearless explorers. Subscribe, like, and comment below, and together we shall uncover the secrets that lurk in the shadows. Are you ready to embrace the darkness?